2022 best games that have released. So we'd love to hear yours in the comments. Now, Dying Light 2. Now, this is the follow-up to one of our favorites. The parkour, free-running, trap setting stuff was even better this time around. Standard version of the first game. Now, it's not quite as challenging as the first game, really pays off, but what you have here is just a straight-up fun video game satisfying to play. The simple stuff is satisfying, all the hits feel good, the parkour free-running stuff gives you a sense of speed and adrenaline, and of course it's all set in a really, really cool, well-designed world with communities actually in very different ways handling the whole zombie apocalypse thing. It's kind of fun to really take all that in. Now, at this point, we're through it. It was a meal. We chewed it. We swallowed it. That kind of sounds like a gross metaphor, but now, essentially, we're waiting for dessert because the original Dying Light has some really awesome post-launch support. So we're looking forward to seeing what Techland can really cook up for Dying Light 2 in this new world they set up. Open world 3D Pokemon hot on the heels of this one, but Pokemon Legends Arceus was kind of the first to really give what a lot of people were hoping for, was completely wandering around environments, encountering Pokemon in the wild, sneaking up behind them, tossing a Pokeball, battling in real time, all that stuff. And I think it mostly paid off. But while the story and some of the setting wasn't as compelling as I was hoping, considering it's set in like a before time, the core gameplay stuff is pretty good, and I'm really excited to see where the Pokemon company is going to take that further. We're really excited to see where this story goes next, because this new gameplay foundation they built here is pretty cool and has a lot of potential. Now, next over at number 8, we've got to talk about Quarry. This one recently released, and it's from Supermassive Games, the people behind the Dark Pictures anthology games, as well as one of our all-time favorites, Until Dawn. And the Quarry very much is straight up another game like Until Dawn, but focusing a little bit more on camp goofiness, like some 80s horror movies, embracing just some of the teen soap opera drama stuff, but with some light humor and weird quirkiness, but still plenty of scares. It's still gory and scary, but it's really based on moment-to-moment decisions. Where in other games like this, these more interactive stories, they rely a lot on quick time events and quick button presses. This is actually more about the moment-to-moment decisions you make in the dialogue and how that affects the characters and really how the story plays out. There's a lot of different outcomes, there's a lot of different endings, and it's just really satisfying to play through, whether alone in the dark by yourself, because the graphics are pretty good most of the time, or if you're just having some good times playing with some friends. It very much feels like a celebration of slasher, kind of goofier style horror movies, and we love it for that. Supermassive Games really, for the most part, just gets this stuff, and we love playing through their games, and we think that Quarry is up there as one of their best. Next, over at number 7, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. If you like this type of game, let me tell you, this one is definitely going to scratch that itch. It's from Nintendo. They've done it again with Ninja Turtles in general. They've just kind of straight up made a new, fun, accessible, but still challenging classic-style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brawler. It is so awesome. From the music to the static cutscenes, the soundtrack, the animations of the characters, the little voice lines, all of it is filled with some fun, old-school gameplay charms. And while some people can't go back to this retro style of play, the people that do, like us here, there's a lot to love here. It's a short playthrough, it's nothing crazy, but there's a story mode and an arcade mode and multiple difficulties, and it is so much better with friends. It supports up to 6-player co-op, featuring the Turtles, Splinter, April, and Casey Jones, and if you love this stuff, definitely give it a try. Next, over at number 6, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land. If you were looking for something good on Nintendo Switch this year, this 3D Kirby adventure in some really interesting locations is really satisfying. It's lighthearted, it's fun, there's good stuff to collect, and Kirby can transform into a lot of cool things. Now, I'll be honest, we didn't get time to do it before you buy video for this game and initially cover it, but when we did check it out, we found a really charming and fun, kind of turn off your brain Kirby game. We think those are important to have. You know, maybe it's not the best Kirby game, but it'll still probably put a smile on your face if you're into this stuff. Yeah, next over at number 5, we have V Rising, another game that we haven't had a chance to cover yet here on Game Ranks, but after diving in and us dabbling here and there, we gotta say, man, this thing has gained popularity on Steam, specifically a lot thanks to word of mouth, and it's pretty worth the hype. You wake up as a vampire and you have to build your empire. It's like a top top-down, large, explorable world with survival elements, RPG elements, but also vampire elements. You gotta worry about sunlight. You gotta satisfy your thirst for blood. It's just nice to see vampire games really having a comeback. We're hoping 2022 is really the year of the vampires. From Vampire Survivors really going viral to Re-Rising really kicking off. This is just a PC gamer's game with some really cool combat, satisfying enemy types, beautiful visuals, and good multiplayer. It's something you should definitely check out if you're playing on PC. We highly, highly recommend it.
How to T1 with inspiration. Introducing the turbocharged, redesigned 2022 T1. Looks fun.
Next over at number 4, we have LEGO Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga. You probably wouldn't expect us to dive this deep into this one, but it's just awesome. It's a really well-made, perfect Star Wars package. If you were of that generation that kind of grew up with the LEGO Star Wars games, that had younger siblings that really grew up with them, they really become a thing. They're satisfying, well-made games. There's great memes, and the Skywalker Saga essentially is a celebration of all those games. It basically gives you full adventures to play through for each movie, all the main trilogies. And it gives you a ton of explorable, kind of open-style worlds, vehicles, a bunch of characters to play through, and tons of stuff to unlock. It's really a grind if you want to see everything, but even if you just want to passively play through to see all of your favorite Star Wars movies recreated in LEGO once again, there's a lot of charm here. There's some great inside jokes and references, and it plays better than your average LEGO game. They really retooled the combat, the third-person shooting, there's some cover systems, and also it looks pretty damn gorgeous. It's really cool to see them recreate some classic Star Wars planets in the LEGO style, but with great visuals. You get a lot of bang for your buck with the Skywalker Saga, especially if you have kids or a younger sibling around. Or if you're like us, you're just a complete adult and you play these games alone in your home. Either way, check it out. Next up at number 3, we have Horizon Forbidden West, follow-up to Horizon Zero Dawn. And with this one, to be straight up, it's just a bigger, badder, crazier Horizon Zero Dawn. I hate to be reductive about it, but there is a lot. Way more interesting cultures, NPCs, side quests, enemy types, world variety. This game is just chock full of, open world stuff. But a lot of it is actually meaningful and interesting and well made. For me in particular, I just like some of the environmental puzzles you stumble upon in the open world. Aloy's adventure goes full on crazy sci-fi and kind of buck wild. I still don't quite know how I feel about it, but the moment-to-moment gameplay from beginning to end was really satisfying. I don't know if it's one of Sony's best exclusive franchises, but when it's good and it's firing on all cylinders, this game's pretty awesome. Also, it's crazy gorgeous. I mean, look at it. It is a sight to behold. From the environment, the level of detail, the way the characters look and emote. It is like a visual feast, but thankfully it's got the gameplay chops to back it up. Now, down to number 2, we have Hopefull. This is one of my personal favorite games of the year. It's just a simple brawler that's a little bit more than meets the eye. It is incredibly challenging and requires a lot from you, the player. You need to memorize the enemies and really practice getting through a level unscathed, because every time you die, you get older, and there's certain ramifications that come with that. But if you keep dying and keep getting older, eventually you're going to be too old to fight, and that's when you get a game over. So the hook is really to get through a level and beat a boss as young as possible, and it's an incredibly satisfying gameplay loop, especially when you just chop it up with how the actual brawling, the fighting works. The blocking, the dodging, the comboing, all of it quick and brutal, hallway, John Wick, old boy style, and it is so cool to pull off. When you're doing well in this game, you truly feel like a badass. That's what I really wanted to see, like leading up to this game, watching the trailers and stuff, and I think they nailed it. From the bosses to the visual style of the levels to the animations to just like getting a quick throw or a dodge or a perfect strike in there, all of it is just chef's kiss. Hopefull, I clearly would highly recommend. Now down to number 1, say it with me now, yeah, Elden Ring. I mean, this is like, of course, what do you expect? If you watch Game Ranks, you know we really love this game. We've made tons of videos on it. And Elden Ring straight up is pretty much at this point the biggest From Software game. Like, of course, because of sales numbers and hype and all that stuff, but also, I've seen more people jump into Elden Ring than any other From Software game. This seems to be, for a lot of people, the gateway drug to From Software gameplay and their other games. It's really special, of course, for the From Software touch, the challenging combat, the crazy over-the-top boss design. but just really how filled this open world is with actual meaningful stuff to just stumble upon and discover. This game just consistently will blow you away for the entire length of time you're playing it. Just when you think you've seen it all, you find a whole new massive area, or a whole optional dungeon, or a side boss. The game, even when it's really challenging and when you hit a wall, still manages to be consistently satisfying, consistently rewarding, in a way we haven't seen with many other open world games. There's going to be plenty of people that comment and say, it's overrated, it's overhyped, and that's fine, agree to disagree. We really, really like Elden Ring. And we're probably going to be talking about it for years to come. Now, those are some games that we think were great in 2022 so far, but we also have some bonus games we got to mention. Buckle up. First, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. This actually just dropped at the time of making this video, but so far, Wonderlands is actually a surprisingly good spin on the Borderlands formula. It makes things pretty fresh. Also, don't write off Evil Dead the game. It's pretty fun, especially if you got a good group of friends. Also, not to mention, Cuphead and the Delicious Last Course DLC. It's quite a bit of content to jump into. We've been fiending for more Cuphead. Also, it's worth highlighting that God of War got a PC version this year, and that is an absolutely massive deal. For people playing on PC, which is also great, to the mods that people have made are just nuts. And also, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. This is technically a re-release of an older PC game, now on modern consoles, but with a ton of new content that is, let's just say, really worth experiencing. I don't want to spoil anything. But those are some great games that we have loved so far in 2022. Like I said, you probably have plenty of other personal picks, so we want to hear it. You got your own top 5 or something.
You shouldn't have to ship.
Money. Who does this in addition to Chinese balls? Yeah. So I can come to that portion. It's money. Hey.
As you know, we are casting DJs, but I'm literally the all system, so
Get more ways to play on every sport: baseball, golf, and Canadian football. Full swing. It started. The summer is here, and the action. Where do you find it, guys? That's right. And it's sportsbook. Before the game starts, live and play, or many prop bets. Doing it right since 1997. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Play now to see all that sports betting has to offer. That's head to sportsinteraction.com/SPPN. That is sportsinteraction.com/SPPN. 19 plus. Nas gets his cup, along with the great quote, which was, if you thought it was a playoff liability, you kiss my ass. And listen, he deserved that moment. He was also a playoff liability, but thrilled for it. Absolutely thrilled for it. And you know what's funny is if you look at all the fan bases online responding to that tweet, they're like, yeah, fuck Toronto, go Navs. I'm like, you guys fucking hate Nas.
And everybody in Toronto was like, yeah, who knows? Like, we're happy. We're happy for it.
There was a lot of cognitive dissonance there, just from everybody. And a lot of people need to pick what they would say.
Yes. Yeah, because the next time, wherever he ends up next year, the next time Nazem Kadri and the rest of the team go up, you're not going to like him.
No, he's had 6 playoff runs. The 3 in which he was not suspended went really well.
Well, the 2013 one. But
He played well.
Amazing.
Almost had the series-winning goal, except the defense behind him checked that. The 2020 bubble National Captain was unfathomable. And the only reason I could fathom it is because Nathan McKinnon was better.
Right.
And then this year, yeah, long, battled through it. Dude got kicked out of 3 playoffs to go to the team.
Right.
Sorry, like, his name's on the cup forever.
Now,
Wonder if he's gonna have more.
you guys see that clip of his dad looking at us?
So jealous.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam is a very popular figure in the city. And, you know, it's a story that I think Sam relates to. A guy grew up cheering for the Montreal Canadiens, ends up winning the Stanley Cup. I think it's perfect.
That's poetic.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah, there's a story, Jesse. I'm not sure how many people are aware of the Tom Hawkins song Big Leagues, but it's about a dad being proud of his son.
I've never heard
in the big leagues.
You sing it?
No, I can't. But when apparently when Kadri was going to the hospital and Nas was going to be born, that song was played on the radio, and it was his dad's answer to the bottom. Which I thought was really cool. And then anyone, and it was very, very cool. Now I have to ask this: Joe Sakic,
Really awesome player.
is it our worst take of all time? Did we not have it? No, Steve.
No.
From 2017.
June 28th, 27th.
I agree with you. I can't sit here on my
A
high.
lot of people who were quiet yesterday did. But that's okay. And listen, I left up an all-timer bad lead because I am not a pants-sitting and a lot of,
Although Steve Blackburn did accuse you of that, wasn't it?
that's all right. That's all right. He was on the ice last night.
Yeah, you was. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I tweeted, Joe Sakic really ought to be fired. Look at this nonsense. And then I linked to the Colorado Avalanche Cap Foundation page. Here's the problem with that. The tweet is still up 5 years later, and it just links to the current Cap Foundation page.
Oh, no.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I left it up, and in the weeks leading, in the weeks leading to this moment for the Colorado Avalanche, I knew this was coming because the internet makes people painfully unfunny and predictable. But I just decided to leave it up and let people have their fun. I was going to get it anyway, and then I got retweeted by a freezing cold cat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was a tough night, big boy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a really tough night, and can't help but notice that, listen, I'll tell you what.
That's great.
I tell you what are you going to say?
Okay, at what point does a freezing cold take, like, honestly? Like, I feel like, isn't there an expiration on that? 5 years is an eternity.
No.
Like, unless you're like, this player will never be good, then that lasts forever.
Okay, how many followers does freezing cold take?
Oh, a lot. 500.